All right, sports fans, today is writing a sports article. This is exciting for a lot of you who love sports, as people do. Multi-million-dollar industry in America, so here we go. All right, what is sports writing? Sports writing is among the most popular forms of journalism, right? A lot of people are like, ooh, I'm going to go write about soccer. Yeah, here we go. In part because sports are, to many, a particularly interesting topic, right? A lot of people like to write about things that they're interested in. A lot of people play sports. So, just like every other article, hard news, feature, you must answer the 5 W's and the 1 H. Who, where, what, when, why, and then how, right? Describes the most thrilling part of the game, right? So if we're talking about this being an article that if you went out and you watched a game, then you would describe the most exciting part of the game. If you were to do a sports feature, it might be a little bit different. It's also, you can use more colorful words and figurative speech, longer sentences, which aren't present in most hard news article, right? So colorful language, what I mean by that is that it's this sort of specific vocabulary, sports lingo, right? Like, I don't know, what do people say? Like, the Islanders blanked the Devils 3-0, right? So those kind of sports-specific references or language. So let's see. So it's types of sports articles. You've got the advanced story, the dope or prognostication. So that might be a straight news story, or it might be a background story, depending on which one you're looking at. It might also be a prediction story. So you're predicting, based on where we are right now in the season, I feel like this team is the strongest going forward, or their performance has been horrible up until now, but it looks like they might be the stalking horse of this tournament, right? Then you have the advanced cover story, or advanced coverage story, and then sports features, sports or sportsonalities, right? So sports personalities, and that's where you feature a particular sport or a personality in the sport. I'm thinking right now about the school newspaper. We often talk to captains, spring captains, new captains, old captains, whatever, and that might fall into this sort of feature. Parts of a sports news. As with all types of articles, they have headline, the lead, and the body, right? Headline, obviously, grabs the reader's attention. The lead is that first paragraph that answers the 5 W's and the H, and then the body of the article fills in the rest of the information that might be interesting to the reader. But basically, especially if we're out covering a sports event, you want the lead to answer those questions, and then someone can go on and read the rest of the article. So this would also be something if you were developing, if the school goes to a tournament or goes on to states, your lead would bring in all that information. The body might be the background about how they got to the states, and etc. Let's see, what to include in a sports article to make it a strong article. Personality, so you want to talk about players and the people that are standing out. I think of, if there's seniors, you might highlight them, particularly strong players, whatever. Play-by-play description, statistics, comparisons, quotes by players, quotes by trainers and coaches. So after the game is over, you talk to a player, you talk to the quotes, or the trainers or the coaches, and you get their perspective on the game. So you give sort of the play-by-play description of the important parts of the game, statistics, comparisons, and then you can talk to the players afterwards about what happened. Background stuff on players, so that's interesting, right? Were they sidelined for the season? Is this their first season? Have they been playing for a long time? The importance or significance of the event. Is this something that, like I said, is this the last game before the States? Is it what changed the season? Is it, the homecoming game? Whatever it is, you want to highlight that in your article too. Background of the game, weather conditions, crowded celebration. So these things, weather conditions, crowded celebrations, if you're out watching a game, is it windy, is it rainy, is it overcast? What is it? And then how is the crowd? How are they responding? Are they excited? Did they cheer a lot, etc.? You're really sort of setting the scene for the reader who's not at the event. It can be tough, and the game can move fast, so here are some tips to make the process easier, right? You don't want to be writing your article in the middle of the game when you're supposed to be paying attention to what's happening. So what I would say is if you're at an event, write the background copy beforehand, right? Before you get there, get all of the other information, get who the players are, what the significance of the event is, sort of set up that stuff. Even if you say it's 20 minutes before the game starts and you're writing down information on the weather or the fans showing up, whatever it is, get all that done beforehand so you're not trying to do it while the game is going on and you're not trying to do it after the game is going on because that stuff might get lost, right? So get that background copy beforehand and then write as you go. So as you're watching, you're taking notes down on things, right? The score at this quarter, when this is, don't leave it to chance that you're going to remember that halfway through the second quarter, this event happened and that changed the game. Jot it down. Second quarter, this time, turnover changed the whole game. And then watch for the good stuff, right? You're watching for what are those things that, as the reader who's not watching the game and obviously doesn't want word-for-word description of what happened, but what's that good stuff that stands out, right? Where there's a particularly amazing shot, catch, throw, whatever it is that you're watching, move by somebody that stood out, that people are, think about the things that people might be talking about that saw the game the night before, and then sort of make sure you make note of those things. And then at the end, you want to condense your article down to the things that are the most important, right? You're distilling the essence of the sport at that point. So there's good sports writers should. Now, you know, since this is a school newspaper, you're going to write for all the different sections, but this is what you want to think about if you're going to be if you're writing for the sports section. Read and read. Watch games regularly. Know the famous, I put this in quotation marks because you want to know the players that people are looking out for, right? Players on the other team, players for or on both sides that stand out, right? Are they going against the players, a player who has the most goals in the league or the most points to this, to date, whatever it is? Did someone on the team lead the team to the States last, the year before, whatever it is? And then learn the sports, right? So, you don't want to say the wrong thing when you're talking about basketball. They don't score goals, right? So make sure that you know what you're talking about. This goes for all kinds of writing. You need to do the research on what you're writing before you start writing the article. And then we're going to look at how you need to do some research before you do interviews, because that can be disastrous if you don't know your information, right? Then obviously study proper English grammar. Even though you can use sort of the sports language, you don't want to come across as though you don't know how to write. You can't get away with it because it's a story about sports. Avoid using cliches, please. Here's a list of the cliches that people use in sports, and now they get used all over, and a lot of times they don't actually have very much meaning. So like, we need to just play our game. Obviously that's a quote that someone would make, player or coach. I don't know what even that means, right? So avoid using those things. He gives 110%. That's impossible to give 110%. So maybe we should be more precise in our language. If we were talking about 100%, then that's as much as a kid could give. That's what we should say. It gives 100% every time. Defense wins championships. She leaves it all out there on the field. Those teams match up well. These are the things you hear over and over again. He takes care of the whatever it is. He's their go-to guy. They have to step it up and make plays. They're going for back-to-back championships. This is stuff that we hear all the time. Be more creative. this is your sort of art form. He has his game face on. Boring, right? So avoid writing cliches. When it counts, take notes. Remember key plays and turning points in the game. Always make sure that all of your info is correct. Okay, this is a big deal. If you give credit for things that happened in the game to people that didn't do them, you're going to seem like a fool, and the people who are playing are going to be upset at the fact that, hey, actually it was me, or actually it was this player. I didn't do that. So you're gonna upset a lot of people. Get quotes. Talk to people after the game or after the event. See how they feel. See how they felt about the situation. Interview key players from the game or a head coach. Right. Make sure to ask them how to spell their names. Also get their grade and position. Right. So that's important for us. Talk to players on the other team. See how they felt. So here's a little quick thing about questions, and we'll get more into this when we do interviews, but open-ended versus closed-ended question. Are you happy you won? Yes, right? So that's a closed-ended question, and it just leaves one-word answers, which doesn't give you much for your article. A better question might be, how important was this win? Was it for the team to win, right? That the people have to talk about that. Very important. Because it turned the season, whatever it is. Also, so we're moving away from closed-ended questions to open-ended questions where the people elaborate on that. The other thing is think of a follow-up question, right? Writing the article, the lead. All sports articles need to have a strong lead. All articles need a strong lead, but sports articles you can really get into, right? The 5 H's and the W. Captures the reader's attention, summarizes the rest of the article, what it's about, includes things like the outcome of the game, the score, significance of the outcome, right? Did this change the season for the team? Did it eliminate the team from playoffs? So here we go, right? An example would be, this is Coronado's 3rd consecutive loss, removing the team from the playoff contention, right? So that's important to have in the lead, because if you get halfway through the article and you haven't pointed this out yet, you seem like someone that doesn't know what they're talking about, right? Examples of sports article leads. So New Orleans, the history-making achievement of the Saints and their fans really covet is the first Super Bowl appearance, which is all that's left to accomplish now that Tony Romo and Dallas ended their December doldrums at New Orleans expense. So this is also interesting because you have the repetition of the first consonant sound that adds to the appeal of the reading, and this is what you can do. You can drive excitement through the way that you create your sentences, right? Drew Brees and the Saints are marching towards the unbeaten season no more after their frenzied rally fell short. A 24-17 loss to the Cowboys Saturday night. This is an interesting one, right? Because this is sort of the surprise, right? Their march towards the unbeaten season, no more, right? So there it is. There's the surprise. Finally, give the play-by-play in the body of the article. Incorporate quotes relating to the game. Written highlight reels. You must report the important events that happened in the game chronologically, right? So you're not jumping around. This is what happened in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and this is how the game sort of summarizes. This is why it's good to have all the other information, the background copy written first, right? There's tons of plays that happen during the game, but you can only include the major moments, right? So this is, again, what I'm thinking about. What's the thing that changed? What's the thing that people are going to be talking about tomorrow who were at the game? Include those things. But as a reporter, you might have seen something that stood out and might become important for the story that other people didn't pick up on. Big plays, turning points, costly mistakes, momentum builders, injuries, etc. Those are the big details that you want. Example, so that save ended by being the turning point in the game as the Cougars were able to counterattack and take the lead. And then finally, you have the conclusion. The article should end with a quote that summarizes the importance of the outcome of the game. Also include information about the next game. So here's the example. The Cougars look to end their 2-game losing streak as they face Socorro at home on Wednesday, February 24th at 7:30 p.m. So the outcome of the last game was that they lost and they're in this losing streak. But they look to end it by the next game, and there's your details about the next game. So, thank you.